All right, it's time to pick a team of the tournament for the Rugby World Cup 2023. I may be back from France. The World Cup may be over, but the World Cup content still continues. So give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe on the channel so you don't miss any more videos coming your way soon. And most importantly, get stuck in the comments with this, my team of the tournament, something I did after every round of the group stages, did it after the quarterfinals, through the knockouts, and now that the tournament's over, who were the best players in their position out of all 20 teams at the Rugby World Cup. I've also got a replacement, one person that reflects the best replacement, and I'm going to pick my top 3 players overall from the entire World Cup, which is really, really tough. So like I say, your comments would be most welcome, starting at Loosehead Prop, and it's Oxenchae. If this was like a horse race, he would be at the back of the pack and just steaming through, timing it perfectly to win at the finish line, because it was through the knockout stages that he became unplayable. And were it not for Oxenchae and his impact from the bench, which is what makes this most remarkable, if it wasn't for his impact from the bench, South Africa wouldn't have beaten France and they wouldn't have beaten England. He was incredible, and so rightfully deserves to be there. I will also just briefly mention Andrew Porter and Angus Bell, who had really good World Cups for Ireland and Australia respectively. To hooker then, and it has to be Piato Malvaca. With no Julian Marchand for France, it looked like a giant hole in their team. Malvaca looked every bit the starter, and he was a wrecking ball of a player. And his performance in defeat against South Africa in the quarter-final was one of the best individual performances of the World Cup. I'll also just mention that Portuguese legend, Mike Tadger. It has to be mentioned. Portugal, one of the darlings of the competition, became everyone's second favourite team, and Mike Tadger at hooker was fantastic. Tight head prop, I went for Ben Taumafuna. I did think very long and hard about making this Frans Malherbe, and I think he would have deserved it. I've just edged it for Ben Taumafuna because the context in which he was playing, he played almost every minute of every game for Tonga. For a guy that's 145 kgs, incredible durability and engine to keep going. And he got 2 man of the match performances out of 4 games. He was incredible. So I think he deserves his spot in my team of the tournament. But if you disagree, if you think it should be Frans Malherbe or anyone else for that matter, the comments are there. Second row, this was a little easier to pick, wasn't it? Eben Etzebeth was just, Halloween is tomorrow. He was a monster the last 2 months. Frightening specimen. And, just incredible. This is as good as I've seen Eben Etzebeth perform. Was rightly nominated for World Player of the Year. Didn't win that award. But if you were just picking it on the basis of the World Cup, he'd be in with a shout. But, phenomenal player. I think Tadhg Beirne and Will Rowlands actually are 2 other players in that position which I would highlight had very, very good Rugby World Cups. And what a lock partnership it would be if Eben Etzebeth and Scott Barrett could play together. Scott Barrett, he has the odd little brain fart, gets himself silly yellow cards, gives away a stupid pen here and there, but he was, other than that, flawless and an absolute workhorse. He's a proper all-rounder, and with Whitelock and Retallick bowing out from New Zealand, as it looks like it will be the case, the lock position for New Zealand is in safe hands with Scott Barrett, and I think it was quite symbolic that it was either Whitelock or Retallick that were chosen to partner Barrett. Barrett has gone from being on the flank and being off the bench, now he is the main man. Into the back row, and it had to be PSDT, who gave his opponents PTSD throughout this tournament. 28 tackles and a man of the match performance in a Rugby World Cup final. I watched the game in Marseille against Scotland, South Africa's opening pool game, and I thought he was absolutely exceptional there as well. By his own very, very high standards, he's maybe not been quite at that level. That's not a criticism. He was, he's like a 8 out of 10 rather than the normal 9 or 10 out of 10. But he has been back to elite levels. What a World Cup. But I've got to mention Courtney Lawes for England, who was phenomenal, and Shannon Frizzell for the beaten finalist New Zealand. In any other World Cup without this guy, those 2 would be in a team of the tournament. Across the back row then, and yes, Ardi Savia is my open side flanker. I know. Been a bit cheeky there, moving him across. But he is an international 7. I think he may well be back in the 7 shirt for New Zealand under Scott Robertson. We'll wait and see on that. But he was so good. He's, World Player of the Year at the World Rugby Awards. He's had an incredible 18 months. But I'm judging this purely on the Rugby World Cup. On the Rugby World Cup, he was incredible. And I'd have to mention Charles Olivon, Sam Cane, who was excellent. Jack Morgan for Wales. Nicholas Martins. There was a lot of contenders for that shirt. But the reason I have nudged him across, I suppose I could have done it the other way around actually, is because for my money I had to get Ben Earl into this team. I cannot believe, right, now my England fan hat is coming on. Eddie Jones, how did you not pick this guy? That said, it took Steve Borthwick a while to even pick him, but as soon as he got the chance and someone put a bit of faith in him, he showed why people have been clamouring for him to be in the England team for so long, why he has been so good, myself included, I might add. I love the guy. And he was absolutely brilliant and a massive part of the reason why England got so close to a World Cup final, which when you think back a few months seemed unthinkable. Ben Earl has had an incredible tournament. Gregory Aldrit and Talupai Faletau will be another couple I'd mention. So that's the pack. Pretty handy pack, right? But again, if you disagree with anyone, get stuck in the comments. Let me go into the back line then. And Aaron Smith. He played that well in a World Cup final. That my overriding thought is, why, Aaron, why are you retiring from international rugby? Keep going, mate. There's so many players that are retiring and they're still playing incredible rugby. Aaron Smith, none more so the case with that. Faf de Klerk, Antoine Dupont had good World Cups, but actually Aaron Smith was head and shoulders above any other 9 at this tournament. And his halfback partner is his New Zealand halfback partner in my team of the tournament, Richie Mo'unga, who fluffed his lines a little bit in the semi-final, missed a few kicks and may wake up in a cold sweat when he thinks back to his conversion attempt for New Zealand. But do you know what? On his upside is massive. He's made the 10 jersey his own. He's the main man for New Zealand in that position, and he was fantastic. Matthew Jalabert was great through the pool stages. Andre Pollard, flawless from the boot after coming back into the squad. And Owen Farrell, I thought, had a great World Cup. And if French fans booing him makes him play like that, then can we have French fans at every single England game, please? And onto the wing. First winger for me, Damian Penaud. So Cheslin Colby actually did an amazing job on him in the quarter-final to keep Penaud quiet and to take the opportunity when he had it. So I'd have to mention Cheslin Colby as a potential for this shirt. Mark Talea as well, I thought was incredible. Mateo Carreras got stronger as the tournament went on. But Damian Penaud, when you think back to those pool stage victories, that game against New Zealand, man, the guy is absolutely world class. And probably France's best player through the tournament. In a tournament they will be disappointed with, but he was brilliant. 12 had to be Bundee Aki. Unplayable in the pool stages. And even in defeat against New Zealand, he was Ireland's best player. What a story for Bundee Aki. You know, you go back a year or so and he was very much a trusted centre in Andy Farrell's setup, but he was kind of the next cab off the rank behind Robbie Henshaw. Bundee Aki's become the first player on Ireland's team sheet. He has been phenomenal. And to have kept the performances of Geordie Barrett, to keep Geordie Barrett out of this team just tells you that is the highest compliment you can pay, because Geordie Barrett was incredible. But Bundee Aki, I would have to say, just a little bit better. Unplayable. Jesse Creel at 13. I did think about moving Geordie Barrett across and putting him in the 13 shirt, but I just love the Jesse Creel story. Again, I mean, I was guilty of this myself. I was like, okay, yeah, well, on Andre the Giant, Andre Esterhuizen, he's been really good. Maybe you should shift Deolende or Esterhuizen across. Almost like I didn't have the faith that the South Africa coaches had in Jesse Creel, and they were right. And I and anyone else that was unsure about Jesse Creel, knew he was a great player. I didn't know he was that good. Defensively, monstrous. Great with the ball, and he's got the muscle tone of a chimp as well. I'd have to mention Gary Ringrose at outside centre as well. He was excellent for Ireland as well. Right wing, and of course, could have got himself the record number of tries, but to be sat there alongside the great Jonah Lomu, Brian Habana, and the other player whose name just escapes me now. I apologise to whoever the other player is with 8 tries. That's going to bug me. No, I'm going to keep recording. I'm not going to stop and find that out. But that person, you know who that is. To be alongside those is phenomenal, and what an attacking player. Luis Rees-Zammit, Storti for Portugal, great shouts as well. Just wanted to mention. And finally, to round off the 15, Hugo Keenan. I went around the houses on this. I thought Toma Ramos for a bit, and then Bowden Barrett has been so good. I thought him, but I kept coming back to Hugo Keenan. So reliable. And again, even in that quarter-final where Ireland will come away thinking we didn't quite give the very best of ourselves. I mean, they weren't far off, and New Zealand managed to raise their game to a level we hadn't seen before to actually beat Ireland. And Hugo Keenan, he just never makes mistakes. And that is just what a quality to have in a fullback. He has been brilliant in this World Cup and brilliant in the last few years. So that's my 15. My replacement of the tournament. This would have been a toss-up between Oxenche and this person. But Oxenche is so good, he's got into my starting team, which leaves the space open for Quagga Smith. The definition of an impact sub. A wonderful player. A brilliant story. The fact he was kind of knocking around in sevens rugby years ago, and then he's just carved out this new niche as an impact player. And this is what's special about this South Africa team. In most other World Cup setups, that would be seen like some kind of slight on a player. You're not as good as the players in the starting lineup. That's not the case with this guy. The coaches have got across to him, and he knows, and he fulfills his role as the best impact player in world rugby. He has huge interventions on games. It's like they've caged him up like Hannibal Lecter, and he's just tied down, raring to go, and then they open up the case and let him loose, because he's an absolute animal when he gets out there. Quagga Smith, my replacement of the World Cup. Now the top 3 players in reverse order. Again, this was really, really hard. Tell me what you think. 3, 2, 1. Who are the best 3 players of the Rugby World Cup? Not in World Rugby. I'm not talking about the World Rugby Awards for the last, however it was, since last October, the last year. No. This is just on the last 7 weeks. The best 3 players, as I see it, are number 3, Bundee Aki. For all the reasons I mentioned only a moment ago. Unplayable. Number 2, Eben Etzebeth. Just massive. I mean, literally massive. And his performances were as big as he is. And number 1, player of the Rugby World Cup, Pieter-Steph du Toit. And yes, I have that performance in a Rugby World Cup final in my mind, and I may be placing greater emphasis on that one match when there were 7 rounds of matches. However, if you can't put a little bit more emphasis on a World Cup final, when can you? And I'll take you back. As I said, I was in Marseille for that opening game for South Africa. He was incredible then. When you consider that South Africa came through 3 consecutive knockout games, winning by 1 point, with huge defensive effort, managing to repel wave after wave after wave of France and New Zealand. I'm thinking of particularly those 2 games. To repel the constant attacks of those 2 teams and keep their points down as low as South Africa kept them. It just tells you that this Rugby World Cup, as Rugby World Cups tend to be, yes, you can have a great attack, but if your defence isn't the very best in the world, you're not winning. And Pieter-Steph du Toit was a colossus. He was a god on the rugby pitch when it really mattered for South Africa. And he played all 80 minutes of that World Cup final and was easily better than any other player on the field. And he's the best player at the Rugby World Cup for me. If you disagree, if you think I've missed someone, hey, let me know. That's what the comment section is for. If you enjoyed the video, hey, hit subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one.